I stared at the envelope like it had just burned me. Alina's handwriting sprawled across it in perfect curves, the same way it had mocked me for years. "Are you serious?" I muttered to myself. Ria, leaning against my doorway, peered at it with raised eyebrows. "She sent you an invitation?" "Yeah," I said, voice tight. "The Alina I used to call my best friend." Ria's lips pressed together. "You're going?" I twisted the envelope in my hands. "I don't know. Part of me wants to walk in, show her who I've become. Part of me wants to." I stopped, realizing the other part was just scared. "You should go," Ria said firmly. "Not for her. For you." Her words hit me harder than I expected. I wasn't just nervous, I was furious. Months of grinding, working late nights, building something she never believed I could. And now she thinks she can just flaunt her perfect life in front of me. At the party, the first thing I noticed was how effortlessly she floated through the crowd, laughing, sparkling. I caught her eyes for a second, then they slid past me, like I didn't exist. "Is that her?" whispered a voice behind me. I turned to see Armin, leaning casually against the wall, smirk tugging at his lips. "She doesn't even see you." I swallowed hard. "Yeah. She's always been good at ignoring people." Armin's gaze lingered. "Not everyone deserves her attention." I felt a twinge of warmth I wasn't ready to name. But then Alina's clique drifted toward me. Their laughter was sharp, deliberate. "Look who decided to show up," one of them said, voice dripping sugar and poison. I smiled, tightly. "You remembered me." Alina passed by, eyes glinting with amusement. "Of course," she said lightly, like tossing me a crumb of acknowledgement. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. Instead, I forced a nod. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Ria appeared at my side. "Ignore them," she murmured. I tried. I really did. But every glance, every suppressed giggle cut deeper than I imagined. I took a breath and reminded myself why I was here. Not for them. Not for Alina. For me. "Mind if I join you?" Armin asked, stepping closer. "Please," I said. Relief washing over me. He didn't judge me for standing on the outskirts, didn't smirk at my discomfort. Just, there. "So, you're surviving her little empire, huh?" he asked, nodding subtly toward Alina. "Barely," I admitted, voice low. "It's exhausting." "You look different," he said after a pause. "Stronger." I blinked. "Stronger?" "Yeah," he said with a grin. "Like you've built something she'll never touch." I swallowed the lump in my throat, trying to disguise the sudden ache of pride. "Maybe. I've been trying." Alina swept past again, this time closer. I caught the faintest flicker of recognition, or was it irritation? My chest tightened. "You're staring too much," Armin whispered. "I can't help it," I muttered, eyes following her. "She used to matter." "Not anymore," he said firmly. "You matter." Ria touched my arm gently. "Remember why you're here. Not her party. Your world." I nodded, letting the words anchor me. Around us, Alina's laughter echoed, but I felt a small spark of defiance grow. This wasn't my humiliation. It was my proving ground. Later, I would replay every insult, every snub, every glance. But tonight, I was learning how to stand while she floundered in her own spotlight. Armin raised his glass. "To surviving the impossible." I clinked mine against his. "To surviving, and maybe more than that someday." And for the first time that evening, I felt a thrill of hope, not for Alina, not for her approval, but for me. I couldn't sleep that night. The party kept playing over and over in my mind like a broken record. Why did she ignore me like that? I whispered to myself, pacing my small apartment. Ria's words from earlier echoed. For you, not her. But it didn't feel like enough. Not yet. I sank onto the couch, staring at the ceiling. I trusted her, I muttered. I told her everything. Every secret, every plan, every dream. And she just threw it away. The memory hit sharp. Alina laughing at my expense when I tried to introduce a new idea back in school, the way she twisted my words at the club, the way she left me out of everything that mattered. I clenched my fists. All those years. I thought we were friends. A knock on my door startled me. Are you okay? Ria's voice. I rubbed my face. Yeah, just thinking. Thinking about her. Of course, I snapped, then softened. How do you not? Ria shrugged. Because you're stronger than her. You always have been. You just don't see it yet. I laughed bitterly. Stronger. I got ignored at her party. I got laughed at. I wasn't even on her radar. Exactly, she said, matter-of-factly. And that's your starting point. I frowned. Starting point? You're still standing, Ria said. She can't break you if you decide not to let her. Her words settled like embers in my chest, warming something I didn't know I had. Anger. Fuel. The fire I'd hidden under my frustration and shame. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling again. She thinks she's untouchable. That she can just walk over people, play her games, and laugh at anyone who tries to rise. You're not just anyone, I whispered to myself, voice barely audible. I'm done being anyone. I'm done being small. Done being invisible. The first seeds of a plan started forming. Not tonight, not fully, but the idea that I could rebuild myself, step by step, burnished like steel, started to take shape. I remembered my first job interview after graduation, how I stumbled over my words, how Alina would have laughed. And then I remembered the promotions I'd earned, the small victories no one noticed, the respect I had quietly started to command. Maybe it's not too late, I muttered. Maybe I can outgrow her. I smiled faintly at the thought. Revenge wasn't the plan yet, not fully. But power, control, recognition, yes, that was the start. A memory hit me like a punch. You'll never make it, Alina had whispered once, her smirk like acid. Some people are born to shine, and some are born to be shadows. I bit my lip. Shadows could move in the dark. Shadows could grow, unseen, and strike when least expected. I'm done being a shadow, I said firmly. I'm going to rise. No shortcuts, no luck, just work. Hard, relentless work. She won't even see me coming. Ria's voice broke through again, soft but teasing. Careful, I think I see smoke coming from you already. I laughed. Fire, Ria. Not smoke. Fire. For the next few weeks, every day became a step in my silent plan. Networking, learning, watching, absorbing. I observed how people responded to influence, how power subtly shifted in conversations, how opportunities fell into the hands of the bold. One afternoon, while scrolling through emails, I noticed an opening for a management position. My heart raced. This was it, a chance to test myself, to step closer to the person I wanted to become. You can do this, I whispered to myself. No one's stopping you but you. And then I caught myself smiling at the thought of Alina, imagining her shock if she ever saw me succeed, imagine my voice in a room where everyone respected me. The idea thrilled me, though I quickly buried the thought of satisfaction behind a careful mask. I wasn't planning to gloat, not yet. Patience was part of the fire. At night, I sat alone, reviewing every interaction from the party, every laugh, every glance. Each one became a lesson. Every humiliation, a step toward understanding her world and how to navigate mine. By the time Ria called to check in, I was calmer. "I'm ready," I said, quietly. "Not for her, for me." "Good," she replied. "That's all that matters." And for the first time, I didn't feel small. I felt the fire burning, slow but steady, ready to consume the fear, the shame, the old me. Alina had lit it without knowing. And now, it would fuel my rise. "Congratulations, you've been promoted," my boss said, sliding the letter across the table. I blinked. "Wait, what?" He smirked. "Don't act surprised. You've earned it." I could feel my heart racing. I did. "Of course," he said, leaning back. "Your numbers speak for themselves. Now it's time you start leading." I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. Thank you. I won't let you down." Later, I met Armin for coffee. He grinned the second I sat down. "Look at you, moving up already." "Feels unreal," I admitted. "After everything, it actually feels good." "After everything?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "You know," I muttered, lowering my voice. "Alina. That party. Being ignored. It stuck with me." Armin laughed softly. "And now? Now I'm climbing. Slowly, but I'm climbing." I smiled, but it felt sharper than it should. "And the best part? She probably still thinks I'm the same person she ignored." Armin's smirk widened. "That's my favorite part of your story, watching her face when she realizes you're not the shadow she thought you were." I shook my head. "I'm not doing this for her. But I can't deny it. It's satisfying to think about." He reached out, lightly touching my hand. "Then let yourself feel it. You've earned it." At work the next day, Mr. Imran called me into his office. I hesitated before knocking. "Come in," he said. His office smelled faintly of coffee and old books. "Good morning, Mr. Imran," I said, trying not to sound nervous. He gestured for me to sit. "I've been watching your work. You have potential. More than you know." "Thank you," I said. I try my best." "You do more than try," he said, leaning forward. "You notice things others don't. You understand people. But raw talent isn't enough. You need strategy, influence, social intelligence." I think I understand," I said cautiously. "But I'm willing to learn." He smiled. "Good. I'll be mentoring you. Subtly, but closely. We'll work on your presence, your ability to command a room without saying a word." I nodded, excitement and nervousness battling inside me. "I won't disappoint you." "You won't," he said firmly. "But remember, power is noticed before it's earned. People watch more than you think." After the meeting, I called Ria. "Mr. Imran wants to mentor me," I said, voice trembling with excitement. "That's amazing," she exclaimed. "See? Things are finally changing for you." "I know," I said, smiling. "And Armin, he's been supportive. I don't know how to describe it. He just gets it. Gets you." Ria teased. "Sounds like more than just friendship." I chuckled, feeling my cheeks heat. "Maybe. I'm not sure yet. But I like that he's there." At the office, I noticed colleagues whispering as I walked by. I caught fragments of conversations. "Did you hear? She got the promotion." "Yeah, faster than anyone expected. She's different now." I smiled internally. Different, indeed. I was learning, growing, and quietly gaining respect, things Alina had never given me. During a meeting, Armin called, and I excused myself. "Hey," I said, slightly breathless. "Hey, boss," he teased. That new title suits you. I laughed. Careful. I don't want it to go to my head. Too late, he said, voice low. You already carry yourself differently. People notice it. You notice it. I'm trying, I admitted. Every day. You're doing more than trying, he said softly. You're becoming someone who can't be ignored. That night, alone in my apartment, I thought about Alina. I'd heard through the grapevine that she was still chasing the same shallow social circles, still obsessed with appearances, still underestimating me. I whispered to the dark room, she has no idea. A spark of satisfaction grew inside me, mingled with the fire of ambition. She won't see this coming, I muttered. Not the real me. Not the person I'm becoming. I could almost see her face when she finally realized I wasn't the person she could ignore or laugh at. My chest tightened with anticipation, but I forced myself to breathe. Patience, I reminded myself. Timing was everything. Armin's voice echoed in my mind, playful and gentle. You're stronger than she knows, and smarter, too. I smiled, leaning back on the couch. Yes, I whispered to myself. I am. The fire that started that night of humiliation burned brighter now, fueled by small victories, mentorship, and the quiet thrill of watching my own life unfold differently. And for the first time in a long time, I felt unstoppable. My phone buzzed. I glanced down and froze. Alina, it's been a while. Let's catch up. I heard about your promotion. Impressive. I stared at the screen. That smiley face emoji at the end felt like a knife. I muttered, impressive. Really? Ria, sitting across from me at the cafe, raised an eyebrow. You're going. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to ignore her forever. Ria leaned back. Ignore her, or show her she underestimated you. Your call. I hesitated, then typed back, sure, I'll see you at the networking event. The night of the event, I entered the ballroom with controlled calm. The chatter and clinking glasses surrounded me. I scanned the crowd. And there she was, Alina, glowing under the lights, draped in designer perfection, smirking like she still owned the room. I inhaled and reminded myself, you're not the same person she can belittle. Alina spotted me and drifted over, the casual smile plastered on her face making my teeth clench. Well, look who decided to show up, she said, voice teasing. I almost didn't recognize you. Is that a compliment or a warning? I asked, letting a faint smile curve my lips. She tilted her head. Depends. You seem different. Confident. I've had time to grow, I said evenly. It suits me. Her laugh was soft, calculated. Confident, huh? Careful. Some people mistake confidence for arrogance. I leaned slightly forward. And some people mistake underestimation for safety. I'm not one of them. Her smile faltered for a split second. I see. Armin appeared at my side, placing a hand lightly on my back. Everything okay here? He asked, voice low. Protective, but not overt. Fine, I said. Just catching up with old friends. Old friends? Alina's voice was sharp, teasing. Funny. I don't remember this dynamic. I shrugged. Dynamics change. People change. You've certainly changed, she said, eyes scanning my posture, my attire. I didn't expect this version of you. I smiled faintly, letting the compliment hang like a weight. Neither did I. But growth is inevitable. A waiter passed with champagne. I accepted a glass, lifting it subtly in Armin's direction. He nodded approvingly. So, you've been climbing the ladder, Alina said, lowering her voice just enough for me to hear her sharp edge. People talk. You've got a promotion, right? Yes, I said evenly. It's been a lot of work, but worth it. Impressive, she said again, that same word. You've really reinvented yourself. I had to, I said, eyes steady on hers. I learned what it means to be overlooked, to be underestimated. It's motivating. Her lips pressed into a tight line, her amusement faltering. I never thought I'd see you like this. I raised an eyebrow. Like this? Strong. Composed. Recognized. She laughed, sharp but hollow. Yes. Different from the quiet girl who trailed behind everyone else. I'm not trailing anymore, I said, voice calm. I'm leading, in my own way. Armin leaned closer, murmuring in my ear, you're handling her perfectly. Don't let her see she's shaken you at all. I know, I whispered back. His presence gave me confidence I didn't realize I needed. Alina glanced past me suddenly. Who's that? She asked, voice lighter but still wary, nodding toward Armin. He's a friend, I said casually, letting the words feel unthreatening but firm. Ah, she said, smirking, though I noticed a flicker of unease in her eyes. I hope he's supportive. He is, I said softly, smiling just enough. And patient. Her expression hardened for a moment, a flash of something I couldn't name, envy. Respect? Both? I wasn't sure, and I didn't need to be. I excused myself, moving toward the crowd, and overheard murmurs from other attendees. She's commanding attention without trying. Yeah, and she's not loud. Powerful, quietly. I felt a rush of satisfaction, but kept my face neutral. That was the key, control. Power was measured in reactions, not noise. Later, Armin touched my arm lightly. You handled her well. Thanks, I said, smiling softly. It felt good to stay in control. Good, he repeated, teasing but sincere. You're glowing. She didn't touch you at all. I nodded. I've worked too hard to let her little games affect me now. He grinned. And that's exactly why she underestimated you. She hasn't caught on yet. I glanced toward Alina one last time. She was laughing with a group, but her eyes flicked toward me every few seconds. I felt a quiet thrill. She'll learn, I whispered to myself. Eventually. And for the first time in that ballroom, I felt a shift. Not dramatic, not loud. Just subtle, satisfying, real. The quiet power of composure, patience, and confidence. I sat at my desk, laptop open, coffee cooling beside me. The gala invitation burned in my mind like a dare. Alina's gala, I muttered, fingers drumming. It's the perfect stage. Ria's voice buzzed through my headphones. You're thinking about it already? Of course, I said. I need a plan. A strategy. Don't overthink, she warned. You've got the skills now. Let them work for you. I know, I admitted. But I want it to be perfect. Public, undeniable, a moment she can't ignore. Armin appeared in my mind, his teasing smile. Careful. Don't let ambition turn into cruelty. I frowned. I'm not cruel. Just calculated. The next morning, I met with a few colleagues, some friendly, some less so. Have you seen the guest list? One of them asked, voice dripping curiosity. I have, I said evenly. It's extensive. Full of influential people. Which makes this an opportunity. Opportunity for what? Another sneered, trying to sound casual. To make sure the right people know what I bring to the table, I said softly, keeping my voice calm. And that I'm capable of handling more than just tasks. A few exchanged glances, but I ignored them. Patience. Observation. My favorite tools. Later, I called Mr. Imran. I want to discuss influence, I said. Subtlety. Strategic moves at events. Reading people. He chuckled. So, you're planning a little social chess, huh? Exactly, I said. But I don't want to cross the line. I don't want revenge to make me cruel. Smart, he said. Use your advantage, but keep your integrity. Karma works best when it's inevitable, not forced. I nodded, smiling at the wisdom. I'll remember that. Over the next week, I focused on building connections. Lunches with potential allies, briefings with industry contacts, casual yet deliberate conversations at networking events. Each interaction became a stepping stone toward influence, toward the moment when Alina would see me differently. But the first test came sooner than expected. A colleague I had trusted, Mina, cornered me in the hallway. I heard about your gala plan, she whispered, eyes darting. Be careful. Some people don't like others getting ahead too fast. Thanks for the warning, I said, keeping my tone neutral. But I've already considered the risks. You're ambitious, maybe too much, she said, stepping back. I just don't want to see you burned. I studied her carefully. Or maybe you're worried it'll overshadow you. Her face twitched. I didn't mean. Patience, I said gently. I understand. But this isn't about harming anyone. It's about proving myself. Timing matters. She nodded, uneasy, and walked away. I exhaled slowly. Trust carefully. Always. Later, Armin called. Planning something? Subtle moves, I said, smiling. The gala. I want the right impact. She needs to see me differently, publicly. Sounds like fun, he said, voice teasing but warm. Don't lose yourself in the planning. I won't, I said, though a flicker of doubt lingered. I don't want to hurt anyone unnecessarily. I just want her to respect what I've earned. Good, he said. Because it's working already. You're commanding attention without even being there yet. A week before the gala, I walked into a networking breakfast. Conversations buzzed around me. I approached a few influential figures, casually introducing myself, discussing projects, exchanging ideas. Each word felt deliberate, each glance meaningful. Impressive presentation, one executive said. I've heard great things about you. Thank you, I said, smiling lightly. It's been a lot of learning, but I enjoy the challenge. A rival colleague muttered something under their breath, clearly trying to diminish me, but I ignored it. Power, I reminded myself, isn't loud, it's steady, patient. That evening, I met Ria for coffee. You seem different, she said, eyes bright. More sure of yourself. I am, I admitted. And it's addictive. I laughed softly. The thought that she might underestimate me again, it drives me. Just, don't let it drive you too far, she said gently. Remember why you're doing this. I do, I said. For me. Not to hurt her unnecessarily. Just, to show her I'm not the same girl she ignored. Armin appeared at the table a moment later. And you will, he said quietly. I've seen the way people react when you enter a room now. Confidence suits you. I felt my chest tighten, both from pride and the tension of the plan. Thanks, I said softly. It feels powerful, but I don't want it to corrupt me. Then don't, he said simply. Just use it wisely. That night, I sat alone with my notes, mapping out the gala strategy. Seating arrangements, guest interactions, subtle reveals, timing for the right impression. Each step deliberate, calculated, but not cruel. I paused, thinking of Alina, imagining her noticing me in a room full of people who respected me, who listened to me, who couldn't ignore me even if they tried. A flicker of excitement ran through me, but I pushed it down. Patience, I reminded myself. Strategy. Composure. And for the first time, I realized something important: the power of my own growth was sweeter than any act of revenge. But the thought of her reaction, oh, that would be inevitable. The night felt electric the moment I stepped out of the car. The gala light sparkled across the avenue, reflecting in my eyes. I took a deep breath, adjusting my jacket, feeling the weight of confidence settle over me like armor. "Ready?" Armin asked, walking beside me, his hand lightly brushing mine. "More than ever," I said, voice calm, steady. "Tonight, nothing shakes me." He smiled, mischievous. "Good. Just, don't have too much fun with her." "I can't promise that," I whispered, smirking. Inside, the crowd buzzed with chatter, laughter, and clinking glasses. I scanned the room, taking note of familiar faces, industry leaders, socialites, and, of course, Alina. She spotted me almost immediately. Her eyes widened slightly, her carefully curated smile faltering just a fraction. She was still dazzling, still the queen of the room, but something in her gaze flickered. Recognition. Unease. "Well, if it isn't, you," she said, voice sweet but edged with tension. "I didn't expect you here." "I told you I would be," I said lightly. "I wouldn't miss it for the world." She laughed, a little forced. "You look different." "I had to," I said evenly. "Change is good, isn't it?" Armin stood by my side, whispering, "You're handling her perfectly. Keep the calm. Let her squirm a little on her own." "I will," I murmured, smiling faintly. I made my way into the crowd, shaking hands, exchanging nods, making small talk, but each word calculated, each glance deliberate. I noticed Alina trailing behind me slightly, eyes flicking to me every few seconds. "Everyone, this is Boss," I said, introducing myself to a group of industry elites I had befriended over the past months. "She's been instrumental in coordinating our latest projects." "Boss?" someone repeated with respect, voice carrying across the room. "Yes," I said smoothly, letting the title linger. "Boss." I caught Alina's reaction out of the corner of my eye. Her smile froze, eyes widening in disbelief, then a flash of cringed irritation. Her hand hovered near her glass, trembling slightly as though the scene had caught her off guard. "Impressive," she said, voice tight. "You've really grown." "I have," I said, calm, letting the words sink in. "It's amazing what focus and persistence can do." Armin leaned toward me. "This is perfect," he murmured. "She's noticing the difference. Don't stop now." I nodded subtly, turning to the group. "We were just discussing some new initiatives. Boss here has been leading the efforts." Another colleague repeated it, louder this time, "Absolutely, boss. We couldn't have done it without you." The murmurs spread. People started nodding, looking to me with interest, respect, subtle awe. Alina's lips parted slightly, and I saw the hesitation in her eyes. The girl who once ignored me, laughed at me, underestimated me, she was stunned, and I was savoring it without a trace of cruelty, only satisfaction. "Looks like you've built quite the reputation," she said softly, stepping closer. "I didn't expect this level." "Neither did I admitted. But it's what happens when you invest in yourself, and not just your image." She glanced at Armin, then back at me. "He's supportive." "I've always had good allies," I said lightly, smiling. "It's about surrounding yourself with people who believe in your vision." The crowd started whispering again, calling me boss in passing, congratulating me on projects, leadership, and strategy. Every acknowledgement felt like a note in a symphony, building toward the final crescendo. Armin touched my arm, just lightly. "Keep steady. She's noticing everything now." "I am," I whispered. "And I'm enjoying this." Alina's smile tightened. "I didn't realize you were so formidable." "I'm not formidable," I said, voice soft but firm. "I'm capable." That's the difference. She laughed, brittle and shallow. I suppose some people just grow into themselves faster than others. And some people waste time underestimating others, I said quietly. A few influential attendees approached me, asking for advice, exchanging ideas, even requesting collaboration on projects. Each interaction reinforced the shift. I wasn't just seen, I was respected. Alina leaned closer, voice a whisper, "You're different. Too confident. Too polished." "I'm me," I said softly. "Finally. And it's about time everyone else noticed." She looked away, discomfort flickering across her features. The room was alive with murmurs. "Did you hear? Boss is leading the latest campaign." "Yes, she's amazing. I can't believe how much she's grown." I glanced at her again, lips curved in a subtle smile. "See?" I whispered to myself. "Respect is louder than words." Armin whispered, teasing, "You're glowing. This is exactly what you wanted, isn't it?" I nodded. "Yes. But not for revenge. For recognition. For me. And, maybe a little for her, so she knows what she lost." Alina's eyes met mine across the room. I held her gaze, calm, composed, the version of myself she had ignored now standing firm, unshakable. She excused herself from a conversation, muttering something I couldn't hear, and I felt a surge of satisfaction, not spite, not malice, but validation. The night continued. Conversations, handshakes, laughter. Each mention of "boss" reinforced the truth, I had earned my place. I had been patient, strategic, and now, publicly, I was undeniable. Alina kept glancing my way, trying to gauge me, trying to find a trace of the girl she once dismissed. There wasn't one. I leaned slightly toward Armin. This feels like victory," I whispered. He smiled. "It's more than victory. It's recognition. And it's deserved." I raised my glass subtly, letting the light catch it. "To growth," I whispered. "To power earned, not demanded." And in that moment, standing among the influential, respected, admired, and called "boss" in a room full of people, I realized something vital: I had transformed. Not for revenge alone, but for myself. Alina could cringe, frown, or feel awkward, it didn't matter. The long-awaited emotional payoff wasn't humiliation. It was my rise, undeniable, inevitable. I smiled faintly, letting the whispers, nods, and subtle glances wash over me. Tonight, I was seen. Tonight, I was respected. Tonight, I had claimed my place, and she could do nothing to take it away. I woke the next morning to a flurry of notifications, messages, emails, and social media alerts. People were talking about the gala. My phone buzzed constantly. "Looks like boss made quite the impression," Armin said when I answered his call, voice warm but amused. "I saw," I said, smiling softly. "It's overwhelming. But satisfying." "You're glowing," he teased. "And did you notice? People are whispering about her now." I chuckled lightly. "I saw. Friends who once flocked to her are hesitant. Some aren't speaking to her at all. Cracks in her world," he murmured. "And you didn't even have to do anything cruel." "Exactly," I said. "I realized something last night. The satisfaction of revenge isn't what matters. It's the recognition, the growth. That's the real victory." He paused. "You've changed." "I have," I admitted. "Not just in how people see me, but in how I see myself. Confidence, patience, restraint. That's more powerful than any public humiliation." Later that week, I ran into Alina at a quiet cafe. She didn't see me immediately. When she did, her smile was cautious, measured. "Oh," she said, voice light but tense. "You're here. I said evenly, sliding into the seat across from her. We need to talk. She raised an eyebrow. Talk? About what? About last night, I said. About everything. She exhaled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I wanted to apologize. For ignoring you, for underestimating you. I studied her. The words were soft, but the arrogance lingered in her tone, subtle but unmistakable. You mean, because people noticed me? I asked carefully. Because you're realizing you misjudged me? She flinched slightly, then looked away. I didn't mean to. Alina, I interrupted gently. I'm not here to humiliate you further. That's not why I came. She glanced up, uncertainty in her eyes. Then, why are you here? To say that growth matters more than revenge, I said softly. I've achieved what I set out to, not by hurting you, but by proving myself. And, maybe to give you a moment of perspective. Her lips pressed into a thin line. Perspective, huh? You make it sound so calm. I thought it would feel worse. It would have, if I'd let it, I admitted. But I realized, the satisfaction isn't in seeing you cringe. It's in knowing I've become someone you can't ignore. She was quiet, staring at her coffee, the tension between us thick. You, really changed, she said finally, softer. I didn't expect it. I've been working on myself, I said. Not to prove anything to you, but because I needed to. Everything else is just a bonus. She looked up, meeting my eyes. I suppose, congratulations are in order. Thank you, I said, voice calm. But congratulations belong to both of us, in a way. You taught me what not to become, and I learned from it. Her smile was faint, tinged with regret and disbelief. I still don't know how to handle it. I leaned back slightly. Handle it by realizing that life moves on. People grow. I've grown. And I hope, maybe you can too. We sat in silence for a moment. Her fingers traced the rim of her cup nervously. Armin's voice echoed in my mind softly, patience. Let her realize it on her own. I nodded quietly to myself. Exactly, I whispered under my breath. A few days later, I attended a networking brunch. People approached me with ease, asking for advice, congratulating me again on projects and leadership. The atmosphere had shifted. Confidence, competence, respect, all things I had earned without stepping over anyone else. Ria joined me, grinning. You've really done it. People are noticing, even beyond the gala. I know, I said, sipping my tea. And I don't need to chase it. It's coming naturally. That's the best part. Even Alina, she asked, eyes sharp. She'll notice eventually, I said. But that's her journey, not mine. I've already walked mine. Armin arrived, sliding into the seat beside me. Seeing the change in people, it's satisfying, isn't it? It is, I said softly. But not for revenge. For growth, for recognition, for knowing I didn't let anger dictate my actions. He smiled warmly. You've become someone remarkable. I felt a swell of warmth, more comforting than any applause or whispers of admiration. Thank you, I said. And I couldn't have done it without your support. The phone buzzed again, another message from Alina. I owe you more than I realized. Thank you. I read it, paused, then typed back carefully, you don't owe me. Just, learn from it. She responded almost immediately, I will. I need to. I smiled faintly, setting my phone down. The cracks in her world weren't my doing, they were a consequence of her own choices. But the peace in mine, that was earned, deliberate, and completely mine. Later that evening, I met Armin for a quiet walk. It's strange, he said, glancing at me. Seeing her reaction, satisfying, but not in the way you expected. I know, I said, fingers brushing his lightly. It's not about making her feel small. It's about knowing I've grown bigger, stronger, without being bitter. He nodded. And it suits you. This version of you, confident, composed, unstoppable, but kind. I guess that's the ultimate payoff, I said softly. Not revenge. Not humiliation. But, becoming someone I can respect. He smiled, eyes meeting mine. Then it's yours. Completely. I exhaled, the tension from months of planning, anxiety, and suppressed anger finally releasing. It is, I whispered. And it feels, incredible. As the evening settled around us, I realized something vital. The true victory wasn't the cringed looks, the whispers, or the fleeting satisfaction of revenge. It was this, growth, patience, and a strength that no one, not even Alina, could ever take away. I glanced at Armin, feeling the bond deepen, romantic, yes, but also unwavering support, the kind that reinforces you, grounds you, and reminds you of who you've become. Ready for the next chapter? He asked, teasing lightly. I smiled. Yes. And this time, it's just about me. I saw her today. Not at a gala, not at a networking event, but in a quiet cafe, alone, her phone buzzing with unanswered messages. Alina. The girl who once ignored me, laughed at me, and underestimated me. I hesitated outside the window, watching her struggle to keep composure. She looked, smaller somehow. The arrogance that once radiated from her like a shield had faded, leaving uncertainty and fatigue. She's really changed, I murmured to myself. Armin's voice came softly from my side. And you? Have you? I glanced at him, brows furrowed. I think I have. But seeing her like this, it's different. I expected satisfaction, a little triumph. But this, empathy is unexpected. Empathy? He asked, raising an eyebrow. Yes, I said quietly. Watching her fail, watching the consequences of her choices, it hits differently than I imagined. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open. The bell jingled, and she looked up, startled. Oh, she said softly. You're here. I saw you, I said. I thought, maybe we should talk. Her hands fidgeted with her coffee cup. I don't know if I deserve it, she murmured. I sat down across from her. Deserve what? I asked. Forgiveness. Or, understanding, she said, voice barely above a whisper. I know I hurt you. More than anyone can imagine. I studied her face carefully. You did. But, I paused, letting my thoughts settle. Seeing you now, struggling, it's not about revenge anymore. It's about understanding. And realizing the cost of our actions. She exhaled shakily. I thought I could get away with everything, charm, influence. I never expected to end up like this. I know, I said softly. And you didn't. But that's life, choices have consequences. You hurt people, and now, you're facing some of your own. Her eyes flicked up, meeting mine with an unusual vulnerability. Doesn't it feel good, for you? Seeing me like this? Not exactly, I said honestly. I won't lie, I expected some satisfaction. But, I leaned back slightly, thinking of my journey. I realize now that satisfaction isn't in someone else's downfall. It's in growth, in becoming someone you respect. She bit her lip. You've really changed. I can see it. You're composed. Confident. And still, kind. I've learned, I said. Anger and ambition pushed me, but empathy and patience shaped me. I don't want to be cruel, even when I have the chance. That's the real lesson. She nodded slowly. I wish I had understood that sooner. You weren't ready, I said softly. And maybe you needed to experience this to learn it. I'm not here to gloat. I'm here to acknowledge the truth. Karma has a way of teaching us lessons we ignore. Her shoulders slumped. I underestimated so many people. Especially you. I thought ignoring you, dismissing you, it wouldn't matter. I was wrong. It mattered, I admitted. But not in the way you think. It mattered because it pushed me to rise, to improve, to claim my own space in the world. And now, I've seen what that looks like. A waitress brought over our coffees, and I sipped slowly, letting the quiet stretch. Do you regret it? I asked finally. Every day, she whispered. I see what I lost. Not just professionally, but personally. Friends drifted away. Opportunities vanished. And I'm alone. I nodded. Loneliness can be a harsh teacher. She looked at me, eyes searching. And you? Do you ever think you went too far? I paused, letting the words sink in. Sometimes, I admitted. Anger and ambition can blind you. I chased recognition, yes. I wanted her to notice me. But I've learned to temper that with patience and empathy. My journey, it's taught me balance. Revenge is temporary. Growth is permanent. Alina's lips trembled. I wish I could undo some things. Some things can't be undone, I said gently. But understanding them, learning, that's how we move forward. I don't need to humiliate you anymore. The lesson is yours to grasp. She swallowed hard, nodding. I understand. It's humbling. I glanced outside, watching people pass by, oblivious to our conversation. Life has a way of reflecting back what we give, I said softly. And sometimes, the reflection is painful. Her eyes softened. I never thought I'd see you like this. Calm, strong, forgiving. You inspire me. In ways I didn't expect. I smiled faintly. Inspiration wasn't the goal. Growth was. Recognition, yes. But ultimately, understanding ourselves, our flaws, our power, that's the real reward. She nodded again, quiet this time, letting the weight of her past choices settle. Armin's voice echoed softly in my mind, empathy doesn't weaken you. It completes you. I leaned back, taking a slow sip of my coffee. He's right, I whispered. Empathy doesn't erase strength. It enhances it. And I feel stronger than ever. Alina looked at me, and for the first time, I saw genuine remorse, not arrogance or defensiveness. I hope one day I can grow like you have, she said softly. You can, I said, calm, measured. It starts with acknowledging your mistakes, and then, making peace with them. That's the beginning. She exhaled, a small smile forming. Thank you, for showing me that. And, for not making me feel smaller. You were never small, I said quietly. Just misguided. And sometimes, that's the hardest lesson to learn. We sat in silence, the weight of months and years stretching between us. I realized then that revenge had been satisfying, yes, but it had been my growth, my restraint, my empathy, that had truly changed me. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. The morning sun streamed through the window, and I felt a calm I hadn't known in years. The city buzzed quietly outside, but here, in our small apartment, everything felt still, peaceful. Armin stretched beside me, letting out a lazy yawn. You're up early, he said, voice soft, amused. I couldn't sleep, I admitted, brushing my hair back. Too many thoughts, I guess. He tilted his head, studying me. Good thoughts, I hope. I smiled. Yes. Reflection, mostly. I've been thinking, about how far we've come. About everything, betrayal, revenge, growth. He reached for my hand. And it matters. Every moment, every pain, every lesson, I said. Betrayal taught me resilience. Revenge taught me caution. Growth brought fulfillment. And now, I finally feel free. Armin squeezed my hand. That freedom suits you. I laughed softly. It feels strange, in a good way. I don't crave approval or recognition anymore. I just want to live fully and wisely. He nodded, smiling. We've both changed, haven't we? Yes, I said, eyes softening. I've changed. And so have you, in ways I didn't expect. You've been my anchor, Armin. My support, my partner. He leaned closer, brushing a kiss to my forehead. And you've been my inspiration. Seeing your strength, it's incredible. I chuckled, looking out the window. It's funny. All those years, I thought the end goal was to prove something to her, to Alina. But the truth? I was proving it to myself. Alina, he prompted gently. I sighed, a faint smile tugging at my lips. She's a part of my past. A reminder of mistakes, pain, and lessons learned. I don't resent her anymore. I've forgiven in my own way, without saying it aloud. That's enough for me. He nodded, understanding. And that's all you need. Not closure from her, but from yourself. Exactly, I said. And now, life feels open. Full of possibilities. I'm not just surviving. I'm thriving. Professionally, personally, emotionally. And I want to savor it. Armin grinned. Then let's make a pact. No more looking back. Only forward. I intertwined my fingers with his. Agreed. Forward, together. He tilted his head, playful. Forward, with dreams. Forward with dreams, I echoed, laughing lightly. Big ones, small ones, shared ones. And mistakes we won't repeat. He leaned back, stretching lazily. I like the sound of that. We'll build something strong. Something lasting. I watched him, my heart swelling. Yes. Something lasting. And this time, it's not about proving anything to anyone else. It's about us. Our life, our choices, our happiness. He smirked. And maybe a little fun along the way. I laughed. Definitely a little fun. I've earned that. We sat quietly for a moment, letting the morning stretch around us. The city hummed softly beyond the window, and I felt grounded. Secure. Alive. Do you ever think about the past? He asked softly, voice low. Sometimes, I admitted. But only to remind myself how far I've come. The pain, the humiliation, they shaped me, but they don't define me anymore. He nodded. Good. That's the spirit. Past is lessons, not chains. Exactly, I said, taking a deep breath. And I've learned to carry those lessons lightly. To let them guide me, not weigh me down. Armin smiled, brushing my hair back. I like the woman you've become. Strong, wise, confident, and still compassionate. I felt a warmth rise in my chest. Thank you, I said softly. It took time. And patience. And, letting go of anger, truly letting go. He leaned closer, whispering, and now, we build our future. Yes, I said, eyes locking with his. Together. No more revenge, no more resentment. Just us. And everything ahead. We kissed lightly, a gentle promise, a shared understanding. And in that moment, I felt a clarity I had never known. Life was no longer about proving something to anyone. It was about living fully, authentically, without the shadow of past hurts. I thought briefly of Alina, a small smile tugging at my lips. I hope she finds her own path, I whispered. Just as I've found mine. Armin nodded, understanding. And your path is brighter than ever. I smiled, feeling the sunlight warm my face. Yes. Brighter than ever. And this time, I'm not just surviving. I'm thriving. With love, with purpose, with peace. He reached for my hand again. Then let's make a toast. To growth, to love, to dreams, and to moving forward. To moving forward, I said, squeezing his hand. And in that quiet morning, with the city awake and the future wide open, I finally understood, the past had taught me, but it would no longer control me. I had love, ambition, and a life to build, and nothing could take that away. Forward. Always forward. I walked past the old venue where the gala had been held months ago. The lights were dim now, the crowds gone, and yet I could almost hear the echoes of laughter, the hushed whispers, the tension in the air. Funny how places hold memories, I murmured to myself. Armin's voice came from behind me. Some memories are heavier than others. Yes, I said, exhaling slowly. I remember being humiliated there, ignored, feeling small. And yet, now it feels different. Not bitter. Just, a marker of how far I've come. He smiled softly. You've carried it well. I had to, I admitted. Betrayal stung like fire. Revenge, it tempted me. But it wasn't the end goal. The real victory was mastering myself. Understanding my limits, my anger, my ambitions, and choosing growth over resentment. Armin nodded. And you did. Every step, every challenge, you owned it. I think that's why it still surprises me, I said, looking down the empty street. Seeing Alina the other day, struggling with her own choices. I felt something I didn't expect. Not satisfaction, not joy. Empathy. You've changed, he said simply. Yes, I whispered. And I'm grateful. The thrill of revenge is fleeting, but understanding yourself, that lasts. Life's victories aren't always in public recognition or whispered awe. Sometimes they're quiet, internal, almost invisible to everyone else, but they define you more than applause ever could. He reached for my hand. And you'll keep building that life. I will, I said, squeezing his fingers. I've learned that shadows of the past can either haunt you, or guide you. I choose guidance. I choose peace. I choose growth. He smiled. Then you're unstoppable. I returned his smile, feeling a lightness I hadn't known in years. Unstoppable, I echoed. Because I've faced the worst, and I've won, not over anyone else, but over the doubts and anger that once held me back. Together, we walked away from the old venue, the city alive around us, and I realized, the greatest victories are never shouted. They're quietly earned, deeply felt, and eternally yours. And for the first time, I felt completely free.